We ended up discussing doing giyur for the sake of marriage. And we said there was a dispute among the poskim. We'll review it when we do the review. So we're on the bottom of 213. It seems that many poskim hold that if a convert's acceptance of mitzvos is clearly not genuine or solely for an ulterior motive such as marriage, the conversion would be invalid.
Where are you reading?
I'm reading in the bottom. The difficulty with the conversions of Hillel. No, we finished. This is where we finished off.
It keeps on repeating it again. We had it
Well,
before.
tell me again what the conversion of Hillel was.
No, we haven't dealt with it yet. We're going to see. The Gemara has many stories where people came to Hillel to ask to be converted. He converted them, and Shammai rejected them. So we just finished learning that if somebody's Kabbalah's mitzvah was not complete, most of the poskim reject that giyur. We also said that if someone is being Megayer for an ulterior motive, like getting married, right? They want to marry a spouse, so they convert. Many of the poskim felt that was not appropriate. Now, Rav Kook argued that in Das Kon that if your Kabbalah bepez karoyi, then we don't have problems with dvorim shebalev. What your ulterior motive is, he was lenient regarding that. Hi, Moshe. So since we have this notion, we're on page 213 on the bottom. So the poskim find it difficult to understand the few sources in the Gemara of how Hillel and Rav Chia converted a number of individuals, even though their acceptance of mitzvahs was not complete.
Right.
If we just learned that you have to have a complete acceptance of mitzvahs, how do we explain the following Gemaras? It says in Shabbos, Tana Rabbanan, Ma'aseh b'nachri echad shebal lifnei Shammai. A goy came to Shammai, Amar lo, Kama Toros yesh lachem. How many Torahs do you have? Amar lo shtayim. The Ravs told him two, Torah shebichsav, Torah shebal peh. Amar lo, shebitav, ani mamincha. I believe that there was Torah shebichtav. Shebal peh, ani mamincha. Girani, so he said, convert me. Al menashet salamdeni Torah shebichtav. I want to just be a Torah shebichtav Jew. Garbo, so he kicked him, screamed at him. Votziu ben Aziv threw him out on his head. Balifnei Hillel Giria. Hillel converted him. Yoima kama Amar lei Aleph Beis Gimel Dalad. Lamachar apachle. And then he said Dalad Gimel Beis Aleph. Amar lei v'ha'et malo Amar lihachi. What do you mean? Yesterday you told me Aleph Beis Gimel Dalad. What do you mean? Why is it reversed today? Amar lo lava lai didoiko samach. So I see you relying on me to teach you the right way. So ponami somachalai. So regarding with Torah Shebechsav and Torah Shebal Peh, you have to rely on me. So Rashi explains that Shammai did not agree to convert the person because of the first halacha discussed in our shir, that if one accepts the entire Torah except for one issue, he can't be converted, right? As Rashi says there, Titania, so that's why Rashi explains why Shammai threw him out. This guy doesn't want to accept all of Torah Shebal Peh. More than just one thing. It means if you accept all of Taryag mitzvahs, there's one mitzvah you don't accept. According to the way we learn in the Gemara, you're not supposed to accept him as a ger. So, what did Rashi say about Hillel?
So was he really Megaring him, where he says, "Okay, I will Megaring you"?
No,
and start teaching you?
Rashi said the Gemara says he Megayered him.
I mean,
He converted him.
Eventually.
No,
From this?
No, from
first
from the first moment he converted him. Even though he gave him that stipulation. Because we're going to see, Hillel's of the opinion that as long as I felt that I could bring him around, it's going to be okay. Which, again, is going to give us sources that perhaps at the time of acceptance of Giyur, we don't have to be so rigid. We'll see if that's how people learn in Hillel. That's the approach now, what we're going to see. We want to see what really comes out of this approach of Hillel. What does Rashi say why Hillel Megayered him? V'samach al chachmaso. Hillel knew that he was smart and that he was going to be able, through various means, to get this guy to be on the road. And that way, shesofa sherigilaso lekabel alav, sheagilenu lekabel alav. The lo danya halachutz midavar echad. Hillel never had in mind that he wasn't going to teach him everything. He was going to teach him everything, and he wasn't going to leave anything out. Shloya koifer b'tor shebal peh, ela shlohaya mamin shehi mipi gvura. He didn't deny the Torah Shebal Peh. He just didn't accept that it came from Hashem. Hillel huftach sha'ach Hashem, then yismach alav. Hillel seemed to be confident that after he taught him for a while, he would agree even to that stipulation.
Was it that the goy denied it, or he says, I don't know?
He
He could deny it.
Rashi
He
says he
didn't
wasn't a
deny it.
koifer b'Torah Shebal Peh. He just didn't accept that it came from Hashem. He felt that Torah Shebal Peh existed.
Until they show him that it comes from Hashem, but also says, well, he doesn't
Yeah, how does he
deny it.
know? I mean, he-
Right,
what's
so he
denying?
MacGyvered him right away
Yeah.
with the idea that I'm going to teach him the right way.
Because if it was kofar, then obviously Hillel wouldn't have done it either.
So Rashi's explanation, though, of Hillel is difficult. What is the basis to accept such a convert who did not demonstrate a proper acceptance of mitzvahs at the time of conversion? So let's go back, right? We've been saying all along that at the time, it's like what Chaim asked now. What do you mean? He was Megayer? Yeah, he was Megayer even with the stipulation. But that seems to be difficult to the way we've been learning so far. How could Hillel rely on his own wisdom in converting him without the required halachic acceptance at the time of Giyur, even if Hillel was sure that the acceptance would be complete at a later time? Moreover, one who doesn't believe in the oral Torah being from Hashem should be considered a heretic. So what do you mean? How come it seems like Hillel wasn't that disturbed that he was a koifer b'Torah Shebal Peh? So the Igrish Moshe, Rav Moshe Feinstein, at least dealt with that second issue of being a koifer. So he says in Igrish Moshe Yoredeya, Lachein tzarach loymar, shekiven she'ik al kol ponim kabbalas mitzvahs, as long as there's a kabbalas mitzvahs, af shaloi b'kulon, because right, he was ready to accept all of Torah Shabbat. So even if as long as there's a Kabbalah, even without kulon, hu ger, v'nischayev b'kulon af shelo kiplem. Just because he said that he's not accepting it, once he becomes a ger, he's mechayev in all of it. David Masnal Masha Kosev b'Torah. He made a t'nai on something written in the Torah. For example, you can't make a t'nai and not to put on tefillin, because it's something that's written in the Torah. There has to be a Kabbalah's mitzvah in order to be machayev in mitzvahs. Eladehu dimi ma'isa gerus. The be'inin Kabbalah's mitzvahs kamo de be'inin mila v'tfila. Kabbalah's mitzvahs is one of those things that you have to check off. Mila, tefila, Kabbalah's mitzvahs. The sagil is that Kabbalah's eza mitzvahs. What's enough to check off the box is for him to be makabel some of the mitzvahs. Eza mitzvahs. Af shelo kibel kulan. Even if he didn't accept all of them. Aval huk shel Rashi al Hillel shekiblei l'gair lechatchila. But Rashi, it seems like Rashi's shot in understanding Hillel, where Hillel accepted him right away. Mahadei mekablin af shelo kibel alav af rak davar echad. It means even though if somebody says particularly, I'm going to be makabel everything except one thing, the sugya said not to accept, and v'koshkein shlai lo lekabel ger zeh shelo kibel of kol haTorah shebal peh. Right? It's not just davar echad. V'al zeh tiret shaper. So this Rav Moshe says, I have a good answer. Shai Hillel muftach. Hillel was confident. Sha'achar sheyamdenu yismach alav. And after Hillel teaches him a little bit, he's going to rely on Hillel. V'yikaim kol dinei Torah shebal peh. He will be makayim all of it. Aval nosan Rashi tam laftach todi Hillel. Shai zeh machmas shelo haya koifer b'Torah shebal peh. Part of the reason why Hillel accepted him is because somehow he saw in the person that he was not koifer in Torah Shebal Peh. Shahai yodeh she'ikah Torah kazu. He knew that there was such a Torah. Ach lo amin le'ilol shemai she'omer lo hi oisa Torah she'nidem b'piyat dvar. It wasn't exactly the same thing that Hashem told Moshe. Shebezeh yashach she'yismach alav achar shalvero. That he understood later on. He'll be soymech on it after I teach him. Achen piresh she'yoda nachri she'yesh Torah Shebal Peh. Aval omar shalom amin le'hillel shelakein shach she'yeh batuch she'yismach alav. Hillel was moving to the issue is that once I am able to educate him in the proper way and he accepts it, it'll be okay. According to Rav Moshe, the convert did believe in the oral Torah and therefore was not considered a heretic. He simply did not believe that whatever Hillel would teach him was part of the oral Torah. Rashi is therefore saying that concerning this lack of belief, Hillel was sure he would convince him that this too was part of the oral Torah. According to Rashi then, it is permitted to convert such an individual based on such certainty. But a lack of belief in the Torah itself would certainly invalidate a conversion. It should be noted, I'm reading the footnote, that Rav Moshe's interpretation of Rashi does not appear to be the simple meaning of Rashi's words, quote, he didn't believe that it was from Hashem, which seems to refer to the entire oral Torah, rather than statements of Hillel alone. Moreover, Rashi here is referring to a stage of the discussion prior to when Hillel actually began to teach the convert, meaning when he said Giruah, that's the Dibra Maschel. He converted him. He hadn't even, he didn't. So there are additional interpretations of Rashi, the Rashash, who learns a little different. But back to the main text. We are still left, though, with the first question as to how Hillel could rely on future events if the acceptance of mitzvahs at the time of conversion appears to be flawed. There's another story in Masechta Menachos, which also presents a problem with this premise, that the acceptance of mitzvahs must be complete and not for the purpose of an ulterior motive. Ma'aseh Be'adam Echad, this is Menachos Mem Dalet. Shayizar b'mitzvahs tzitzis. He was very careful in tzitzis. Shama sheyesh zona b'kroch hayam. There was a famous harlot in the islands, Shenotelas arba meo zuvim b'schara, who would charge 400 golden zuhuvim. Shigel arba meo zuhuvi. He sent by FedEx 400 golden dinners. The kovel hazman, and he set a time with her. Kishigi hazmano bo v'yeshev ala Pesach. He came, he sat on the doorway. Bo dal, and he was wearing his tzitzis, of course, because he was very makbid in tzitzis. Bo dal tzitziyos v'tapchlo upon him. His scissors flew and hit him in his face. Nishmat, he sort of knocked him off the stoop. V'yashav lo gabi karka. He was on the ground now. V'af hi nishmatav v'yashav gabi karka. So the Zona joined him there. Amrlo. Gapo shel romi, which is basically like an oath. She'eni manichescha. I'm not going to leave you alone. Ad shetoimerli ma mum ra'isabi. The Zona thought that he had found something that he disliked. That's why he left, right? He did not complete the date. He canceled. What's wrong with me? In fact, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. We have a mitzvah, tzitzis. Achshav, nidma like kedalad edim. The tzitzis were like 4 witnesses that were warning me, don't commit this aveira. Amrlo, eini manischa shetomali mashmecha. So she asked for his name. Umashem Yirecha, and what city are you from? Umashem Rabcha, and who is your Rebbe? Umasham Midrashcha, what yeshiva do you learn? Sha'atolomik B'Torah.
Why don't you don't ask these questions?
Kosa v'nosen b'yada. He gave it to her.
What did he give it to her?
Amda, so she went. Ubasel Beis Midrashel Rab Chia, and he was learning under Rab Chia. Rab Chia is a generation after Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. You're talking about 200, 220 CE. All of the Baraisos and the Toseftas were authored by Reb Chia and Rabbi Shaya. So, for example, we know that the Mishnah was codified by Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. So all the Tanaitic, any mimer of a Tana, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Akiva, all of the Rabbi Yehuda, all of the various Tanoim were recorded by Rabbi Yehuda Nasi in the Mishnah. And then Rabbi Yehuda Nasi died. Then there were, so when we learn a Gemara, and one of the structures of the Gemara is sometimes it'll bring you a stira from a Baraisa. It'll say Tanya, or Rav Raminu, I'll ask you a kasha from a Baraisa. What's a Baraisa? So a Baraisa and a Tosefta were additional Tosefta, Tosefet. These were additional pieces of Tanaitic literature that were not put in the Mishnayos by Rebbe. But Rab Chia and Rabbi Shia codified it. Take a look at back of every Masechta, you'll see Tosefta. And that's where these additional, they don't have the same force as a Mishnah. That's why usually if there's a machlokes between a Bryce and a Mishnah, they'll usually go according to the Mishnah. But sometimes a Mishnah will be rejected, and they'll say, oh yeah, this Mishnah is a Das Yochid. That's why it was not Rav Meir. It was a Mishnah of one of the other Manda Omrim. That's why, but we don't paskin. We rather paskin like the Baraisa, because maybe the Baraisa was more authoritative according to the Masorah that came down. So anyways, so Rav Chia is in the first generation after Rebbe. Amra lo. So the Zona told Rabbi Chia, Rebbe, Tziva alai v'yasuni giyoris. Please make me a giyoris. Amra labiti. Shemenech nosata be'echad talmidim. Did you fall in love with one of the students? Hotzia ksav miyada v'nastalo. So she had the note that he had written his name, and so he gave it. So the Zona gave it to Reb Chia. Amar la lechi zachi b'mekcha. Fine, he approved the marriage. Also matzah tzilo be'isser, yitzilo beheter. So these mattresses that you're going to use beheter, be'isser, you're not going to use beheter. So Reb Chia allowed the woman to convert, despite the fact that it was clear that it was because she wanted to marry the student following the conversion. So it's difficult to understand how could Reb Chia convert her for the sake of marriage, in light of the Yesodos that the Gemara already stated in Yevamos, that you're not supposed to convert something for an ulterior motive, not just marriage. Remember they said during the time of David HaMelech and Shlomo HaMelech, they didn't convert anybody because the Malchus Yisrael was very wealthy. People wanted to convert to get jobs, to make a parnasa. Yeah. They didn't accept Gerim at that time. So it's not just marriage, it's any ulterior motive that you're not allowed. So how could Reb Chia convert this woman? So before answering this question, we're going to study a third incident recorded in the Gemara Shabbos. We might be more familiar with this incident between Shammai and Hillel.
Can he use that money they sent for ahead of time to be the Mekanisha?
Say it again?
The money that he sent to, can he use that money to Mekanisha?
Well, in what do you mean? He said,
To us.
right, so you'd have to give her something new now.
There was no valid backup.
Shuv Ma'aseh b'nochri echad shaya oiver achrei beis hamedrash.
But he didn't really do anything bad, not Rav, the other one that cut the students.
No,
He didn't do anything.
not yet.
No, but the woman also.
The Tzitza saved him.
I mean, she's so what a
Well,
good
she was
guy.
a Zona.
She was a Zona, but
Yeah.
the guy didn't even do anything to her,
And therefore,
and therefore she didn't marry because she married him because she saw what great thing a religious Jew
okay,
is.
but you're not supposed to convert someone if the purpose of the conversion is that they want to marry somebody who's of a different faith. That's exactly what the Gemara said last time we learned.
Yeah, but for ulterior motive.
Ulterior motive means marriage is an ulterior motive. That means there's a shiksa, and she wants to marry a Jew. You're not supposed to convert her. And we went through the various postments that we don't accept such a convert. That we have a terim. Many people get converted. Okay. But
They make them break.
here we want to explain what's going on in the Gemara. Why is Rav Chia not seem to be bothered by this issue? There was a goy who was like walking around in the back alleys behind the yeshiva. Shama kol soifer shai omer ve'ela b'gorim asher yasu choshen ve'efod. He heard them describing the begodim of the Kohen Gadol. Omer halal l'mi. So he asked, and who gets to wear these? Omer lo Kohen Gadol. Omer also nochri ba'atzmo. So the goy said to himself, Elech v'ezgayer, I'm going to convert. Bishvil sheyesh shabashuni Kohen Gadol. They'll make me the Kohen Gadol. Bol ifnei Shammai. Omer lei. The goy said to Shammai, Girani al-Menashe tesimeni Kohen Gadol. So, remember, a Kohen's not even allowed to marry a Gioris.
right.
So, of course, his yichus wasn't correct. So, he asked to be Megayer on the condition that he could then become the Kohen Gadol. So, Dochfu ba'amas abinyan shebiyado. He had some kind of a brick in his hand or some other kind of construct, a measurement, yeah. But he kicked him out of it. Bal if Hillel gireha. Hillel converted him. Amr lo. Kluma midi melech elamish yodeh tachsisi malchus. So first, Hillel told him, if somebody wants to become a king, you got to learn sort of the laws of the king. Go and study. Holach v'kara. So he went to study this ger. Kivan shigia vazar karev yumaz. So he understood. Now it says that if a non-Kohen goes into the Kodesh Kodashim, he's going to be killed. Omr lei. So he asked Hillel mikra zel minemar. Who's that pasuk going on? Amar Fila David Melch Yisrael. Any non-Kohen, gadol, even David Melch Yisrael. Nosa also ger kavachomer b'atzmo. So the ger made a kavachomer. Umay Yisrael shenikru b'makom. Jews that are considered children of Hashem, because we're called bani matem. Umitoch avashavim karlem b'ni b'chayr Yisrael. Ksiv aleim v'azari karev. You must, on any Jew such as that, still if he goes into the Kodesh Kodashim, he doesn't emerge alive. Ger, hakal, shabab b'maklo v'tarmilo. But a convert who's only coming without any schus avois, he just comes with his stick in his bag. Alachas kama v'kama, how he's going to be put to death. So he understood that you can't become a Kohen Gadol. Bal ifnei Shammai amar lo, klum roy ani lios Kohen Gadol. I mean, why didn't you just tell me straight up that I couldn't be the Kohen Gadol? V'lo ksiv b'tor v'azar karev yumas. Rather than just throw me out, you should have explained it to me. Bal ifnei Hillel amar lo, an v'son Hillel. He praised Hillel for being patient with him, being modest. He blessed Hillel, who brought him close to Yiddishkeit. The three of them, Hillel, Shammai, and his ger, ended up in one place. The fact that Shammai was hard, he was very makpid on din. That almost, I would have ended up never having olam haba, right? Because as a Jew, he has everything. On Venasusa Shal Hillel, but right, the fact that Hillel is modest, here they describe it as patience. I'm not sure it's patience. Shal Hillel kirvano tachas kanfei Shechina. Now, the issue again is it's an ulterior motive. Being megayir me for anything, whether it's for marriage or for wealth or for being a Kohen Gadol, so how could Hillel be megayir him? As in the first two incidents, the basis for the validity of his conversion, where the converts seem to have an ulterior motive, is difficult to understand. The Marshaim learns that way. It sounds like Hillel also didn't tell him about the verse initially. It's only after he told him, go read a little bit, go study a little bit. Hillel also didn't tell him, like remember later on he complained to Shammai, oh Shammai, you didn't read me the pasuk. Hillel didn't read him the pasuk either. He told him, go study. So why was it such a great thing of Hillel?
We told him to go study after he got him, after he accepted him as a ger.
Yes, but he didn't tell him the pasuk right away. Right, he discovered the pasuk by himself. Mishum to love him, makabel love, legayer. Because if he would have told him about the verse, perhaps he wouldn't have accepted, because Hillel wanted him to convert. And if he would have told him, Azar Karevas, the guy wouldn't have converted. But again, the Maharsha is asking the question. We don't accept Gerim if they want to work for the office of David HaMelech or for marriage. It's no different. It's still an ulterior motive. Says the Maharsha, Tzarech Loimar, Hadika Omar, Balifnei Hillel v'gireya. That would have said he came to Hillel and Hillel converted him. It's lav dafka. It's not exactly what happened. He only converted him after the incident when the convert knew already that he would not be accepted into the priesthood. It's not that he was Megayim right away. Ela shekibel alav. He wanted to, again, just it was a Kabbalist mitzvah of some kind. Legayer. I mean, when someone says, I want to convert, in that statement is already a Kabbalist mitzvah. You know, even though he might not detail all of them, that's what it means to convert. You're going to live by the laws of Judaism. And the way Maharsha is learning Hillel is they don't know all the details. When I turn the details, it'll eventually become Lishma. So according to the Maharsha, the reason why the conversion was permitted is that Hillel only converted him after he realized he could not actually become a high priest, and the ulterior motive no longer existed, because there was no ulterior motive. The answer to the Maharsha is still difficult to reconcile with the language of the Gemara, as the term "he converted him" does not seem to mean that It does not imply that Hillel simply accepted him as a candidate for future. Rather, he converted him at that time. That's the language. Like what you said before, Giyur, he was Makayirim. Furthermore, both Rashi and Tosfos understand that Hillel did indeed convert him immediately.
What?
That Hillel converted him immediately, even before he learned that he could not become the Kohen Gadol. And according to their interpretation, the original question remains. So one possible explanation is in Tosfos and Yevomis, who understands that in the final case, Hillel was certain that the individuals who approached him would ultimately convert for the right reasons. Rashi's formulation that, quote, he relied on his own wisdom, also seems to mean that Hillel was certain about the outcome of the conversion. So, if the Dayan or the Bezdin, through Shikol Adas, sometimes din, there's a saying, there's a halachic saying, ein ladas elamasha eino roeh. I mean, sometimes a Dayan makes a decision based on what he sees, based on the circle, and it seems like the way Tosfos and the way they're explaining Rashi here, that if the Bezdin of Dayan feel that they're going to be able to get him to come around, that's enough. And the same that could be applied to the first two cases that were discussed in the Gemara.
Like a convert for a woman, in the war, what do you call a woman that is,
Torah.
huh?
Ishus Yifas Torah.
Ashes Shafas Torah,
It's a
yeah.
special class.
Right, that's
Yeah,
its own thing.
That's its own. That's its
Yeah,
own.
because
But
it's-
even though it negates everything that we, that's purposely.
That's a special
That's
din.
for us.
So, yeah.
The Torah requires a whole parsha on it.
If a guy.
Huh?
It's not her choice, that's his choice.
Right.
If a guy comes to Rav and he says, the frum guy, I fell in love with this chick, and I'm gonna marry either way, but I want her to convert. She'll convert, and she'll be out as 100%. No Rav
So
will do
there
it.
are Beis
They
Dinim
will.
that will not convert her.
Yeah.
There are Beis Dinim that will convert her. Because we have Shitas, we learned the Shita. Rav Kook was lenient. He said, we don't look at the Dvarim Shebelev. Shein Dvarim Klal. So afilu miyova lev agid lanu shaya bilvova acheres b'asher b'fiv ein lanu esek klal in Dvarim Shebelev. So he said, as long as they say bepeh, I'm being Megayer, that was, and it's not just Rav Kook. There are many other poskim that. So the machlokas are poskim regarding this issue. And we're not. By the way, we're not finished. We're not finished in terms of the final approach to
But
this.
if she converts through a conservative movement, okay?
That's not good.
Wait, maybe it is, but then all of a sudden she, they say, you're not really Jewish. They're both from Galil, say you're not really Jewish, you have to do a formal conversion.
Go ahead.
And he starts speaking to her, and then you realize she's more religious than the guy is.
Yeah.
She obeys all the laws, keeps Shabbos, keeps everything. The kids are Balchus, whatever you want to call them. Hey, Balchus, they go to yeshiva and everything else. So, do they make her go through the whole thing again, or
I
what?
think they
And
would.
sometimes they make the kids do it also.
They would make her go
Yeah.
through the whole thing. Not enough to just go to a mikvah and that's it.
I think they would because they're concerned that if they have children and they're sincere, and then their children could have problems getting married if their conversion was not done appropriately. It was
It
not done
happens often
appropriately.
in Israel in yeshiva. When people go in 18, 19, they find out when they do.
Sometimes they'll tell them don't
And
convert.
they probably make the children reconvert also.
Huh?
If the children were born.
Okay, what
We're
we
not that conversion.
here
It's a different
we're
conversion.
exposing ourselves to the halachas. So we're going to be in. We're not through. We're seeing what the issues are. We talked about Kabbalah mitzvahs and the machlokas poskim regarding that. How far do you have? How
They
does
don't
the
even listen to Hillel anymore. They don't even. Forget
No, but
it.
the,
The guy is like
it's interesting.
No way.
You know how the Tzur Rabbana normally we start with the Makorot, and then we bring, and the Gemara is usually Makorot. Here we brought all the Makorot, got to the Din, and then we ask the questions on the Gemara based on our understanding. Where you're not supposed to accept it with an ulterior motive. How did these questions? How did Hillel and Reb Chia convert them? It's very interesting. We go backwards here, but we resolved it based on so far how we're learning. Let's just see what this Tosas Yevomis says. Omari, that Hecha Shemasiyin Osam Lizgayer Shemakab Nosam Yad. Avalim Hein Mis Amtzim Lizgayer Yeshlanu Lekablim means over there in the Sugya it talks about converts who are keep on they refuse to be put off. So if they keep on pushing that they want to be Jewish, yesh lanu lemakablim. But he says, b'mem madlikin, he quotes our Gemara, Shagir Hill, also Shomer Giran Amnashu Tismeni Kohen Gadol, Av bishloya misamtim misgayer. There he wasn't pushing himself that much. Yodea yahil behem shesoifel lios gerim gemurim kemo shasel b'sof. So this shows us this concept where if the Dayan, like Hillel, saw that in the end he's going to come around, he could be Megayer. So it seems that as long, according to Tosfos, as long as the one overseeing the conversion believes that the convert will ultimately be sincere, the conversion is valid, even if it seems that a complete acceptance of the Torah for the right reasons is lacking at that point. It's a huge statement. It's a huge statement that was just made here. That even though there's a question at the time of the conversion, that whether there's a complete acceptance or not, you can accept them. This type of certainty is extremely difficult to maintain, and therefore this approach is not usually practiced practically. Nevertheless, the Shach, right? The Shach is the major commentary on the Yoredeya. That in I can tell you in the Isser V'Heter and all issues of kashrus, we all usually end up following the Shach. The Shach is like the final common denominator. He cites the Beis Yosef, who does apply this idea of Tosfos to conclude that the Beis Din that arranges the conversion is considered the final arbiter with regard to deciding whether the convert is sincere and the conversion is valid. Let's just see the language of this Shach. Kosva Toisvos. He quotes our Toisvos up in Yevomis. The Osla Kamei of Armele Garin al Menashe Yekoin Gadol, but Tuachayad the Sofa Lasos L'Shem Shemayim. As long as they were confident that later on it was going to be L'Shem Shemayim, Mikan Yesh Limod, the Hakol Lefi Raos Eine HaBeis Din. Like we get, it's Shikol Adas of Beis. It's one of these times. It doesn't always work that way, but sometimes the halacha is based on how they give the discretion to the dayanim of the Beis Din to make the decision. It's a lot of power. Okay, so let's go through the steps of the conversion process. We've been dealing initially with the issue of Kabbalah mitzvahs. We will now discuss the rest of the steps of a halachic conversion. The Rambam in Hilchos Yisur Bia writes that one who wants to become a part of the Jewish people must undergo a 4-step process. Acceptance of all Torah and mitzvahs. Then bris milah. Then immersion in a mikvah. And then
You say acceptance of all or the yoke?
I understand.
acceptance of the yoke of Torah and
The guy
mitzvahs.
wants to convert.
Again,
You're going
how
to
much
ask him, will you
is
accept
a
the Torah?
debate.
Yes. Will you accept the mitzvahs? Yes.
Yes.
Will you do a bris milah? Yes. Will you go in a mikvah? Yes.
Yes. It's not
So,
just yes.
what
No,
do you
now
do?
is the process. It's not just saying yes. They have to do it.
Okay.
Acceptance is a
Accept the
verbal
Torah
thing,
mitzvah.
but milah is a physical act, and mikvah is a physical act. So how is mikvah done? We're
The
going to learn.
husband knows nothing. All right, the husband knows nothing. How is she going to know?
I mean, which
The
case you talking
husband,
about?
the husband who
There
the
was
wife is
Beis Din
converting.
there.
What
The
you talking
wife
about?
is converting. All right, the new wife is converting.
Yes, this is done in front of. This is done with
In front of
Beis Din.
Beis Din. So they say, are you going to accept the Torah mitzvah? She
Yes.
says, oh yes,
That's
absolutely.
exactly what's going
Doesn't
to.
know what the Torah mitzvah is.
Well,
He doesn't teach
they
her.
have a requirement. First of all, today no one goes to Gir unless they've been studying for 2 or 3 years. Bezdins will not accept something. They just don't walk into Bezdin. They're going to ask them, do you know about Shabbos? Do you know about a mikvah? Do you know about Taras Mishpacha? There's a dialogue that goes on between the potential convert and the Beis Din.
Yes, today, I mean, it's possible that they didn't discuss it, it's very possible that during the time of Hillel, Beis Hillel, and Beis Shammai, it wasn't very desirable to be Megayer,
Absolutely, it was not.
right? So-
Absolutely. For the last 2,000 years, it's not been desired.
Right, so only recently, well, the last 40 years, let's say,
In
where,
1930.
you see Jews have acquired, status and wealth in Eretz Yisrael, and, so people are now, it's much more respectable, to become Jewish.
We have a worse problem. We have 1 million Russian Jews who've come from the Soviet Union who want to be Megayer, but they don't want to be Megayer fully. They want to be Megayer like their neighbor, the Israeli, down the street, who doesn't keep anything. Well, he's born Jewish. They're not. So that's where this problem of Kabbalah's business. We're gonna have some of it. That's gonna come up. But Chaim is correct. The issue is more relevant because there's more issues of conversion today than it was before. Now, the Rambam states that the act of conversion must take place before a Beis Din. Doesn't just happen in front of the husband. It says, B'shlosh dvorim nichnasu Yisrael lebris, b'mila, tvila, v'korban. Okay, this is talking about us at Har Sinai. So we had Mila before we left Mitzrayim, right? When we say Dam Pesach and Dam Mila, So we were gemalt in Mitzrayim. Now, by the way, we're going to learn the dinim of Mila later on in this volume. Not only do you need chaticha, you need priya. So there's a foreskin. After you do the cut, you have to peel the foreskin back to reveal the glands. That's priya. So in the midbar, it was dangerous. So they had chaticha, but they didn't have priya. So there was a lack in the Mila there. It was not a problem where they couldn't eat the korban pesach, etc. But there's all debate because of sakana, they couldn't do the priya. Okay, so but anyways, the Mila was done. Say it again.
Before or after Matan Torah?
This was before Matan Torah.
Before, yeah.
So now under Matan Torah, there, it says there in Parshas Kisisa, there was a korban offered. Moshe Rabbeinu did a korban, and he sprinkled Klal Yisrael with blood. That blood sprinkling was the tefillah. They did not go in mikvah. The maybe homiletically you want to learn that going through the Yam Suf was, but they didn't go into water. But but whatever. But Rashi there in Parshas Mishpatim and Kisisa talk about the sprinkling of the blood that was their tefillah, and there was a korban. So the Rambam says just like when we converted, we had Mila, tefillah, and korban. So too that a ger in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, they also had to bring a korban.
By the way, there's a Kohen that cannot have a meal. Is he usher to bring karbonis?
Yes, an oral cannot do the avodah, but he can. But they can eat. They can have truma. There's certain things they can do. They couldn't do the avodah itself. Just like a balmum can't do the avodah, but he can be fed.
Because
Yeah, machmas. Let's say it's a machmas refuah problem. It says he has hemophilia. Right. Okay. So. Mila, Haisav Mitzrayim, Sheneamar, V'chol Areh Lo Yoichal Bo. Regarding the Korban Pesach, if you were an oral, you couldn't eat it. Malo Yisa Moshe Rabbeinu. This is the words of the Rambam. Shekulam Bitlu Bris Mila b'Mitzrayim. Now, what about Avram Avinu and the tradition that Moshe Rabbeinu? Remember, 80 years before, 40 years before, when he left Mitzrayim, he was 18 years old. He went back when he was 18. That whole Maisa with Sipora and the Mila. So there was Klal Yisrael did Mila. So the Rambam is pointing out that no, the Jewish people stopped doing Mila except for Shevet Levi. Moshe was part of Shevet Levi. V'zeh Nemar ubrischa yinsoru. Right, that's the bracha to Levi. Utvila ha'isa b'midbar koydem matan Torah. Shenemar v'kidashtem hayom u'machar v'chipsu simlosam. Here he says you shall launder their clothing and take a bath, but most of the poskim say it has to do with the sprinkling of the blood. The korban, shenemar vayishlachas na'arei b'nei Yisrael vayalu olos. Al yidei kol Yisrael ikrivum. This olah that is mentioned over there was done as the korban for the conversion of Klal Yisrael. V'chein ledoros. This din applies for generations. When the goy wants to come into the covenant of Israel, wants to accept the mitzvahs. So look how the V'yikabel Ol Torah. That's like you can't get started without the Kabbalah's Ol Torah. Now you need the process. But the Kabbalah's Ol Torah, without that you don't start anything. That has to start the thing. So now tzarich mila utfila v'artzas korban. In the kevehi, tefillah of the korban. Of course, there's no mila by women, so they don't need mila, but they need tefillah and korban. We get there tonight. We're going to see how women undergo mikvah in the presence of Bezdin. It's a very interesting procedure how they do it. Shenemar kachem kager, ma atem b'milo tefillah v'artzas korban, af hager l'doros b'milo tefillah v'artzas korban. So that's the Rambam. Then he says, Ger Shema v'loy toval. You have a convert who has done the Mila, but hasn't done the Tefillah, or vice versa. Toval v'loy mal, eino ger. Ad sheyomu v'yitfol. He has not become a Jew until he does all the process. Tzarech lidvo b'fnei shlosha. The Tefillah has to be b'fnei shlosha. Oil v'adavar tzarech bezdin. Ein madbilon also b'Shabbos. Right? Bezdin doesn't convene on Shabbos. V'lo b'yontif, v'lo b'layla. Right? Bezdin doesn't operate at night. So all these things have to be on the daytime. The imhid bilu areza ger. And once they do the tefillah, he's a ger. I will tell you that there is, you notice the Rambam doesn't say that the Mila has to be done Lifnei Bezdin, but there is a sheet in Yoredeya, and many of the Beis Dinim are makpid on it, that the Mila needs to be done in front of Bezdin. I have been zocheh to participate in dozens of such cases here in Los Angeles, when the Russians, adults, needed the conversion. So especially when Rabbi Korupkin was here, he was actively involved. At the time, I was at Sentinella Hospital, and we had a Chabad anesthesiologist. I forgot his name. But so Rabbi Korupkin would come, and I would do the Mila, and there would be the Chabad. So there were three of us present in the room, and there was a hidur of Mila b'fnei Bezdin as well. Because of the Dayanim who wanted the Mila to be done b'fnei
You
Bezdin.
didn't have to qualify as Bezdin
Well,
by criteria, just get three,
It's like a-
Torah.
well, Rabbi
three
Korupkin was there.
And you.
I would say he would qualify as a, you could say he qualified as a mumcha. I was not a rabbi at the time, but what the qualifies? He's not a dayan. But I think he was sent as a shaliach of the Bezdin by the RCC,
Who was
Rabbi Korupkin.
Yeah.
That's what his presence was there. So sometimes by Bezdin, all I need is one. For example, the Kollel, the Lakewood Kollel, used to be in back of Rabbi Gansweig's shul.
Yeah.
In 1984, my research year in urology, I used to learn in the Kollel with Reuben Sauer in the morning. The Lakewood Kollel had just come a few years before. Fastman's Kollel. Rabbi Bess was a young man in the Kollel. Rabbi Graydon was a young man. David Grossman was a young man in the Kollel. That was, okay. Rabbi Gansweig would conduct Gittin in the shul. A few times I was called to serve on that bezin. In a bezin such as that, you need one mumcha and two hedyotes can serve. Also a chlipsa. No, but that doesn't require any mumcha.
Oh.
That doesn't require a mumcha. And,
But the language.
but
He
getting
says.
but
Your
getting
language-
getting definitely requires a
The
mumcha.
language of
But I think you may only need one
Mentions,
mumcha.
yeah.
Say again. And a chalitza has to be done in front of Bezdin as well. Same thing. But you notice the Ram didn't say anything about Mila b'fnei Bezdin. Only Tefillah b'fnei Bezdin. But they may bring it later on in the Mila section. Now, so this is the Rambam. So what does the Shulchan Aruch say in Yoredeya regarding conversion? Does he accept what the Rambam says, or does he have other halachas? So Ger shenichtans l'kal Yisrael chayav Mila tchila. So you notice there's an order too. You have to have the Mila before the Tefillah. So obviously there has to be a period of time. You can't put somebody with Mila immediately
Right.
into a bathtub. No, there's a period of waiting. You want to wait a week, 2 weeks until it heals, etc. So that's a factor that has to be factored in. Chayiv Mila tchila. The imal kishahaya goy, right? 50% of the population in the United States gets circumcision.
Yeah.
Goyim, right? So let's say you have a goy who's been circumcised, and now he comes to be Megayer.
Is a Muslim circumcision similar to Jewish circumcision? Do you have any idea?
The age is different.
Now the age is different, I know, but do they cut the same way? Do you have any idea?
I don't know.
Oh, just curious.
They still do it at 13?
I guess.
Do you know that I had Filipino patients
Yeah.
who said that in the Philippines that was a culture, they were not Muslim. It's like a rite of passage.
Oh.
At 13, they would be
At
taken down to
13?
the river. Yeah, or
At
at
13,
10. It's sort of like a rite of passage kind of
There's a lot
thing.
of
And in
Muslims
Africa,
in the
Africa too,
Philippines.
it's done as a
Oh.
sort of a rite of passage, like to go into adulthood or something.
Female circumcision?
Huh? Circumcision.
For female circumcision.
There they did that
That's
to avoid,
suppress-
to
suppress
avoid
that
sexual activity and everything like that. They thought by mutilating their genitalia, that would keep them safe or something. It says so. But let's say you have a goy who's previously had a surgical circumcision, unrelated to conversion. O shenolad mohul, or he was born circumcised. The only time we see that really is in hypospadias cases. If a child is born with the urethra not at the tip, and it's more proximal on the penis, so sometimes they have only like a remnant foreskin. So those are. Otherwise, I'm not sure I've ever seen in my career a child brought to me where there's no foreskin at all, unless there's another abnormality, in the penis, mainly hypospadias. So, but it does happen. I mean, Chazal talk about it all the time. They say Yosef was born Mohu, or other tzaddikim were born Mohu or something. So tzarich latif meno dam bris. So there's a procedure of atofas dam bris. You take a little needle, take a sharp needle, and you anesthetize them, and you just draw some blood with the needle. The aim of archan alav, and a bracha is not made.
Oh, no, brachas.
There's no milah. There's nothing to cut.
Interesting. No kiddush?
There's some wild,
No.
it's the same amount if you had only a thousand.
Now this is
For
difficult
sure.
to discuss. In nichras hagid, let's say he had a penile amputation,
Or Bobbitt?
trauma.
John Bobbitt.
John Bobbitt. I recently had to do a partial for penile cancer. Guy had a fungating penile cancer. I had to do a partial penectomy. So, but he certainly doesn't have his foreskin. It's all involved in cancer. But let's say so the Shulchan Aruch dealt with that. Im nichras hagid ein miloso makeves milizgayer. So then you don't need to do milah. The milah is not ma'akev, says the Shulchan Aruch, and all you need to do is tvila.
Okay.
Says the Ramah. It seemed that the Shulchan Aruch gave us an order. First you have to do milah, and then tefillah. And it seemed like it was le'ikuv for them. If you didn't do it the right way, it would ruin the milah, would ruin the gerus. Says the Ramah, toval kodem shemal moyu. Ramah says no. If you went to the mikveh before the milah, it works. The be eved have tefillah. The yeshoimrim do lo have tefillah. So who wants to worry about the yeshoimrim? So you understand the I'm sure they try to do it in the proper order because okay. Kishabali Gayer Oimrim Lo. So they ask Mara Isa Shabbat Gayer. Why are you being misgayer?
They asked that question?
Mara Isa Shabbat. What did you see that you're coming to convert? Like what Chaim was saying, don't you know that today Jews are persecuted? They're chased, they're exterminated. So Imam Yodea Ani, I know, and I'm not worthy to be part of them. Mekabel no so miyad. We accept it. Umodim osam ikre adas. We give him the ikarim, the Yud Gimel Ikrim of the Rambam. We don't teach them all Taryag mitzvahs, Shabbos, Kashrus, Zaras Mishpacha. Trust me, those two words, Ikore Adas, there's a huge literature. What does that mean? What do you have to tell them? But whatever, you don't have to tell them every detail. Shu Yichud Hashem, and the Shulchan Aruch gives us an idea that there's the unity of God is Avodah Zarah, Umarichni Mo b'davar zeh. And you spend a lot of time on that aspect. Umodim also miktsas mitzvahs kalos, umiktsas mitzvahs chamuros. There's some easy mitzvahs. Tzitzis cost a few bucks, not very expensive. And then you tell them about, Shabbos. If you violate this, it's kores, right? Umodim also miktsas oinshin shel mitzvahs. You give them some of the punishments. She'oimrim lo, kodim shabas l'midazu. Prior to this time, achalta chelev yatoinish karus. You would eat a piece of chelev. That was no problem for you. But and chilalta Shabbos, if you violated Shabbos, you have to chayv skila. You wouldn't get stoned. Achshav achalta chelev yatoinish karus. Chilalta Shabbos to chayv skila. So he gives us a get there of what you have to teach. Achshav achalta chelev yatoinish karus. Chilalta Shabbos to chayv skila. The ein mevarchen alav. No, vein marbin alav. We're not excessive with him regarding this. Vein medaktigin alav. Well, also we don't get into very specifics with him. So onshan shel mitzvahs. You tell him about the reward of mitzvahs. Umadino so shebasita mitzvahs elu yizkel chaylam haba. It says l'man yarichun yamecha. V'she'ein shum tzadi gomer ela balachachma. That everyone sins, but the person who's going to be the right person is somebody who has a lot of will, who spends a lot of time studying, and he understands what he's doing. She'osa mitzvahs elav yodiyim. He understands why he's practicing these mitzvahs. For oimim lo hevi yodeya. Sha'olam haba enot sofon el tzadikim. That olam haba is really set aside for tzadikim v'hem Yisrael. V'zeh shetir Yisrael b'tzar ba'olam hazeh. The fact that you see the Jewish people in suffering in this world, Toiva hitzvun that you have an ultimate reward. She'ena michabel lekabel rov tova b'lemazek ku'umos. The reward in Olam is so great that Hashem doesn't want to give it to them in this world like He gives schar to other umos. Shemayaru limba b'viyitu v'yafsidu schar lamabah. And if Jews in this world will make a mistake, they'll lose their olam haba. V'Hakadosh Baruch Hu maybe alem rov peronos. And but Kadosh Baruch Hu did not wipe out Klal Yisrael completely, Kadesh lo yovah, so they won't be lost. Kol umas kolim, but all the rest of the nations are going to become destroyed. V'heim oimdim. Like Mark Twain ended his famous essay. The Romans, the Greeks, the Filipinos, they're gone, but the Jew remains. What is the secret of his immortality? Rav Hershel Schachter spoke on the first day of Sukkot. Harold and I were there. He brought up Mark Twain and he explained that the Nitzchias of Yisrael, he quoted these psukim that Hashem will never destroy Klal Yisrael, and that the Sukkah represents special shmira of Klal Yisrael, that aspect that we will always remain. He claimed that's the secret of our immortality, that this haftach that Hashem has, that He'll never destroy the Jewish people. So it's interesting that Shulchan Aruch highlights that you actually tell a prospective convert, you teach him those aspects. So after hearing all of that, im kibel, if he accepts malno somiyad, umamtin lo chisrap refuah shlema, right? You wait until he heals from the circumcision. V'achakan madvil no sutfilo again. It's below chatzitza. You put him in the mikvah. Of course, no chatzitza, no intervening structure between his body and the water. Says the Ramah, yesh oimrim shigalech saroisav. He should take a haircut. V'yitotzi podav yadav v'raglav koidim tefillah. And again, make sure his fingernails are cut, again, to avoid chalitza. Ushloisha talmidei chachamim oindim al gabav. Here you need 3 talmidei chachamim. Umeidim oiso mixas mitzvahs kalos mixas mitzvahs chamuras pam shniya. They go through a second round of the easy mitzvahs, the hard mitzvahs, for who omeid b'mayim. And he's in the water.
In the water.
V'maisa isha, it's a woman. Noshi moshivas oiso b'mayim. The women put her in the water ad savar until her neck. V'hadayonim ibachutz. The judges are outside. Umodian also
They're
makes
not
us.
really outside, they're still in the room there.
No. In the woman.
My son had one where the woman
Hang on.
was screaming afterward. The guy was looking at her while she was coming out of the water.
Okay, so here he says, if it's a woman, the men go out, women put her in the mikveh, and they're the ones who tell her the mitzvahs kalis v'chamuras. V'hi yosheves b'mayim, she's sitting in the water, head up, right? Achar kach tovelos b'fneim. Then when they come in, and we're going to see that, we'll learn this tonight. Yeah, we're going to close with that. And therefore they didn't see her nakedness, because all they see her is her head go in. Then they quickly go out. Not to see her when she comes out of the water.
Assuming that the mikvah is
Murky.
murky.
Okay.
It's murky, yeah,
So
but
hang
not our
on.
mikvah.
So what do we do when our mikvah is clear? Hang on. Hang on. Then when she comes out of the mikvah, she makes the bracha. From that moment on, if she goes back and eats ham, she's a Jew who ate ham. There's no going back. Hareu ki Yisrael meshumid. She'im kiddush, kiddushin. And therefore, if it's a man and he gave a woman money and is makadesher, that woman needs a get. That means all of the Dinei Yisrael apply to him from that moment on, even if he goes backwards. Now, the Shulchan Aruch describes how the Beit Din ensures
But
that
what happened, obviously we're not talking about sacrifices anymore.
we don't have
So what do
sacrifice.
we do instead?
We don't need
Is there
it.
any
No,
substitute?
but it's not ma'akev. It's inapplicable today without the Beis Hamikdash, and therefore it's not required, says the Rambam.
What sacrifice was
It was an old one.
required?
An old one.
okay.
So, how the Beit Din ensures that the convert is in fact sincere in his intent to convert, and is not doing so for ulterior motives, the Shulchan Aruch tells us how they did that. So we check him. Maybe it's because of money, maybe the word is out, he's going to get a big appointment if he's converted. for some kind of fear. Vim ishu, boidkim achrav shema ein of nasan bisha Yehudis. If he's a man, if he's a goy, maybe he's got his eye on some nice Jewish woman. Or vim ishi, vice versa. Boidkim achrav shema ein of nasan b'bachra Yisrael. Vim lo nimtzem lehem elof, that we don't find any of these things. Moidim lehem kovid ol toiro. Then we tell him about the difficulty with the yoke of Torah. V'torch sheyesh basiyos al amei haratzois, and how it's difficult for common people to fulfill the Torah, kadesh yifreshu, because we want them to go away. We don't want them to stay if they're not the right person. In kibul lo pirshu, v'rotam shechazru me'ava, and they're coming back out of love, mekavim mosam. Now, the poskim have discussed how a female convert should emerge practically based on the guide of the Shulchan Aruch. On the other hand, on one hand, the dayan must be present, while on the other, certainly the standards of modesty must be maintained. So Rav Ovadia Yosef gives us two solutions. So Pash Gaban Lios, Eza Derech Yishar She'ever Lo Adam Bazeh. How should it be done properly? Kadesh Lo Yireh Gufa Aron B'Yosef B'Mayim. Like Chaim said, the water is clear. How are we going to solve the problem of seeing her nakedness in the water? Mikevan Sham Hamikvos Shalonu Tzlulim V'Zakim. Our mikvahs are clean. Obviously, they knew that 100 years ago it was not like that. V'nira sheyeshlina k'mashakos of Mora da'asrin harav agon Aaron ben Shimon in the Sefer Nar Mitzrayim. Sheyesh lavi yirias beged gedola. They bring a large sheet. V'lifos usadim and they spread it on the water in the mikvah. Uvechelik mimena miskasa gufa giyoris kamkein. And she's actually wrapped in some of it while she's in the water.
But isn't that
No, but at some
No,
point she'll
then
let
she
go
goes
of it.
in.
Virak rosha nishar chutz liria. Only her head is open. Ba'ofen she'enira shum davar lo mamayim v'lo migufa klal. So nothing is seen of her body. Everything is under the sheet. V'kachi omedes b'fnei hadayonim be'ez kabbalas hamitzvahs. She stands that way because remember they ask her while she's in the mikvah about kabbalas hamitzvahs.
Why do they have to ask her in the mikvah?
Because we ask her a second time. She does. Remember we said
Don't
Pam
go in.
Shnia.
Don't go in at all.
No,
if
Pam
she's there.
Pam Shnia.
But why do they have to ask her?
Are you
Do
sure
it
you want
before
to do
it-
this?
you know
Yeah,
what?
you sure you want to
It's the
do it?
thing.
It's like the last right before. You got to do it right before.
Probably most likely because the person is very vulnerable and very exposed, and that's a time when it's appropriate to ask them such a question. It's a heavy question.
Ultimate test.
ואחר כך טויבלס בפניהם, והאישה אומרת שם מגלה קצת מהיריעה. One of the women reveals some of it כדי שיראו הדיונים שטוב לתפילה הוא הגיע כדס. ואחר כך אומרת משחיית ראשה תוך המים. So then she picks her head up. והדיונים יוצאים לחוץ עד שתלבוש וטוב עליהם. She gets dressed and she joins them. Now look at what Rav Ovadia came up with his own patent. Shechazarti ator liyoshna. Now that he became either he became the chief rabbi, or I'm returning the thing the way it should be. Beshinu ktsas mimasha kosav harav Nar Mitzrayim. It looks like for a while they weren't doing it like the Nar Mitzrayim, and then the Sefer Nar Mitzrayim came to instruct them how to do it more b'tznius, and he's adding something. He said, cut a hole in the middle of the sheet.
Smart.
So she stands in the middle of the mikvah. The sheet is spread across the mikvah. She's completely covered, but her head is up. She's already in the water. The sheet is covering the water and her body. Just her head. All they see is her head going down. They can now testify, yes, we saw her head down. Okay. We will start next week with Ger Kotna. How do you convert a